And now here's Edie.
Hello, everybody. I'm Edie, your host, and I have a co-host now, Mr. Scott Free. Welcome,
Hey.
Scott. Our
Hey.
guest tonight is Joe Harrington, and we thought we'd do a little unscripted commiseration conversation after the election to see where how everybody's feeling. And I know I'm an eternal optimist. I just keep doing the work, and it doesn't matter who's in office. We were going to get somebody bad because they keep people like Jill out. So I would like to work on that in the future and see if we can level the playing field somewhat. But it's not going to stop me from being who I am and getting out there and protesting and whatever else we want to do. There's so many things wrong. So that's me. So what about you guys? How are you guys feeling? Who wants to go next?
Well, I'll defer to the co-host.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw an interesting post or I think a tweet from Nick Cruz of Revolutionary Blackout Network that said that he really blames a lot of mainstream media for kind of mental health crisis right now. And I thought he really made a good point, because they were just talking, for months, years, about the end of the world is coming if Trump gets elected. And these poor people, they freaked out. I mean, really, really bad.
The media was...
Yeah. Oh, God, end of democracy, dictatorship, Hitler, and all this stuff. And we had him for 4 years. I don't like him, but we had him for 4 years. And yet it just, to me, it also shows just the level at which people take in that propaganda. Because the posts that they showed of people falling apart and screaming and just, you hear people just in complete, utter depression. And I just think, I don't know, I thought he was right to say that, that's kind of abuse. When you hype people up to that level, like it's the end of the world. I mean,
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
I'm a little confused. So the media, or at least some part of it, was overtly trying to warn the public?
Yeah, they were saying that if Trump won, it would be the end of our life.
I have no idea what part of the media you're talking about.
Oh, CNN, MSNBC.
Mainstream.
The mainstream media.
With all the mainstream media is corporate.
Sure. Right. But his comment was just blaming them for all of these people's mental health issues, because I do feel like there was massive.
Right. I'm just saying that there was little journalism being practiced.
Oh, sure, of course.
In describing, and I'm going back to when he first announced he wants to run for president.
Yeah.
And immediately, mainstream media, and it's even seeped down lower than that, they fell in love with this doofus.
Sure.
This lunatic, this con man, flim flam man,
right.
This sexual assaulter.
Yeah.
And now convicted felon. They just fell in love with him.
Absolutely.
And he will forever be good for their ratings, and what I have seen around here in the Chicago area is that the media has such, control over the message, which is okay. Medium is the message, as Marshall McLuhan once said. But the idea that the media is going to give any kind of objective analysis anymore of anybody, because they've already gone several bridges too far with Trump. I don't know how anyone who thinks journalism is being practiced in this country can show me any evidence of it, unless you go down to the very, very, like the areas within print media or electronic media that barely anybody knows exist.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, I think, Joe, that's kind of the point is most people are not where you're at. Most people don't realize that mainstream media is 100% propaganda. They don't understand that. They actually think it's real. They do. They
Well-
think it's real.
I spent 20 some years or more preaching to my students exactly how to understand journalism and how to separate a fact from an inference from a bold-faced lie.
Yeah.
So
I will also say that some of the people that claim to be independent media on YouTube, like David Pakman and Sam Cedar, they started carrying the water for the Democratic Party.
Sure.
They grew like crazy, but they also totally, misled their audience completely. So David Pakman, Savvy Sabs was talking about this, which I love Savvy.
Yeah.
That he lost 10,000 people in a day.
Yeah.
And not just on YouTube. He started losing subscribers to his actual website. But magically they reappeared. So I don't know how that happened, but he's got a whole team and he has met Kamala. Like
Sure.
he's not independent.
No. Absolutely not. No, I'm sure that the Democratic Party had, I mean, they've done that for millennia of fake groups, fake environmental groups, all kinds of fake groups that put out really good messages on their subject, but when it's time, then it's come on, everybody, we got to vote for the Democratic Party. I mean, that's a David Pakman. That's I mean, all of them, Sam Cedar.
Well, he used to pretend to be progressive, but then he jumped on the Kamala train. Yeah.
Right. TYT is a fake progressive independent. I mean, they're completely fake. They're completely bought out. So
have you heard about this, Joe?
Not directly, no.
No. But you know the kind of people we're talking about. And unfortunately, Crystal Ball. I was kind of surprised. I
was watching Crystal Ball during the shutdown, especially her and Jimmy Dore, and podcast, just getting a taste for, hey, we were all shut in. That's what I chose to do. Let's find out who Crystal Ball is. And like I asked, is that really Scott Free's name? Crystal Ball? Really? So I've got to listen to what she's got to say. But anyway, and up to this moment now, we thought we got rid of Trump. Okay, obviously.
I never thought that. I knew he would come back. And
I'm not saying. I really never thought. Okay, you don't want to get me started, but I'm already started.
Right.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Get started, Joe. Let's go. Let's go, Joe.
Even the local progressive radio station, WCPT, Chicago, which has nationally syndicated Tom Hartman, whom I used to admire.
Yeah.
And then in the afternoon, local Joan Esposito, who came out of local broadcast news. Mind you, I didn't say broadcast journalism because seriously, I did an internship at Channel 5 News in Chicago, and I was in the belly of the beast, so to speak, thinking, what is wrong with these people? Why do you keep talking about the weather? It's winter in Chicago, that kind of, and it's not any different. But then Trump comes along and everything changed exponentially for the extreme worse. So like WCPT, which began broadcasting as Chicago's progressive talk radio station. And, when it became apparent that Biden was very capable of losing this thing, okay? And I used to listen to Hartman on a fairly regular basis, for not the whole shows, but tuning in when I could. And then Esposito. And when that became that first debate with Biden, that I thought, well, yeah, of course, it's Joe Biden, who they never should have picked in the first place. However, the idea that, the CPT, because I would call in and try to, get on the hook just for briefly, and I would ask them about, why do you keep as you put it, Edie, why do you keep carrying water for Joe Biden at this point? And then before I could possibly, get the complete thought out of my mouth, as soon as I brought up Gaza, Israel, Hamas, October 7th, then I would get like the puppet, you pulled the string.
Right.
And they start talking about Hamas's attack on October 7th. And I just thought, there goes the so-called local progressive station in Chicago, which is a microcosm of the medium across the country.
Exactly.
They all carried water for Biden. And can I please introduce the 9,000-pound gorilla in the room with us right now? That being Gaza.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you say? The media doesn't give people, no, they don't give people worthy information. The famous, whatever, Mark Twain quote, those who do not read the newspaper are uninformed. Those who read it are misinformed.
Well, and I've watched a little bit of the coverage. I mean, there's definitely a dim freak out, and they have not come to terms with why they actually lost. Part of it was the economy. They let the economy slide. Grocery prices went up 35% since 2020. I mean,
Right.
You can't buy as much. You come home with a couple of bags, you spend $100. You're like, but I didn't get anything,
Right.
But it's Gaza.
Well,
I mean,
Gaza had
a lot of people stayed home. Kamala Harris got like 15 million less votes. Trump got 3 million less. So 18 million people stayed home.
That next morning,
Mm-hmm.
and for our phone conversation, I said, I went to bed that night really not knowing what was going to be the outcome. But what little attention I was paying to it, I got a very concerning vibe, And I thought, but I'm not going to hang around for the West Coast, and so I went to bed.
Yeah.
And then I wake up the next morning, and not shockingly complete, not like 2016, but Gaza. So Gaza, in my head, this is what Gaza has given all of the country. And I saw that Kamala got 68 million votes and Trump got 73.
Oh, is that the final tally? I've been waiting.
This was as of Wednesday morning. I don't know what the official is now, but it's still got to be close to the same. And but in 81, Sleepy Joe got 81 million votes. So where did the 13 million Democrat voters go? As you said, Edie, some of them just didn't bother to vote in protest.
Mm-hmm.
One of my big disappointments, I have to admit, given how, in my way, I was involved with the Stein campaign, how small her numbers turned out to be.
And are those the real numbers?
Some people don't trust that. Some people don't trust that. And I certainly know from Illinois, I was an election judge, and I know from my experience that there wasn't any real effort to get the write-in votes, because I had to do it myself. And so I know.
But you're talking about Illinois, though, right?
Correct. It's just a little situation.
Yeah, I understand that.
Each state is its own situation. But
she was completely on the ballot in how many states, though?
Yeah, she was probably on 40.
Well, there were 8 write-ins. There was only two or three states she wasn't in. So whatever that math is.
Yeah. So I guess
40 states.
Yeah, I'm alluding more to the states where she's on the ballot, like here, as I'm sure Edie and you, Scott, did as well. I wrote in Bill Stein, Rudolph Werk, right? But in the states in which her name's automatically on the ballot, and given the Gaza thing. And all I'm seeing on social media, young people, middle-aged people, older people, just saying, what is wrong with our country? And calling out Biden, calling out Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you see the videos of these children blown apart? Where's humanity? Where's your morality? And Harris, what does she do? As you know where I'm going with this, she tells people just to shut up.
Right.
I'm speaking.
I'm speaking. Right. And that I will always be supporting. It's like, did they throw the election? Honestly, Scott, Edie, did the Democrats throw this election or what?
Yeah,
Yes.
no, without a doubt, they made a decision based on their donors that it was much more important to do what the donors wanted than the people. They were fine with losing, absolutely, because it was right there. You could have even faked it. I mean, Biden tried to fake it just a slight bit by saying, well, if they don't do something within 30 days, which would have been 3 days after the election, we will do something. Well, now it just turned 30 days, I think, today, and they did nothing. But they didn't even follow up on it. It was like one little statement he made. No, they absolutely knew what they were doing, and it was more important not to upset their donors by even suggesting to do something.
Yes.
Was,
And do you know she raised $1 billion?
Right.
I heard that this morning. And
they're 20 million
well,
in debt.
Where does that go?
And they're 20 million in debt. So one of the things I wanted to speak, well, in terms of numbers, neither of us trust the actual numbers, but the one thing that was really encouraging to me, I have never seen a demographic. There has never been, maybe back in the 20s, 30s, there's never been a demographic for where a third party won. And they polled, Muslims, I think, after the vote, Jill Stein won with Muslims in America. So that to me is amazing. Amazing.
Right. That doesn't surprise me. What surprises me is the non-Muslims who I thought were in huge numbers as well, who are going to vote for Jill, a third party, to send a message and give her the 5%.
Yeah.
So that she and any future Green, not just Jill, obviously, could automatically be on a ballot and avoid the DNC with their frivolous lawsuits and all of that institutional shenanigans.
Barriers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It was a fear factor.
I just thought the number would be higher.
Yeah, I know. Absolutely.
It was 100% the fear factor. They have built up Trump in their heads as this huge boogeyman. I talked to people in person that think that the world was going to end if Trump got elected.
Right.
And I'm like, so they don't. So that, number one, they're not thinking logically, because fear makes you don't
fear
think,
is the hunt,
right? Yeah. And they're not thinking about, well, in Illinois, as for an example, it traditionally goes blue. So voting for Jill, you lose nothing. You're not helping Trump. It's not a popular vote. If it was a popular vote, that'd be a different question.
Right.
I still want you to vote for Jill, but like in Illinois, 5% of the population could have voted safely.
I was trying to preach to whoever wanted to listen that if you're unhappy with Gaza, but we can't let that guy become president. And I said, here, you're in the right place. You could still vote for Jill, Green Party, third party. And at least if you're a decent human being, sleep at night, instead of supporting a genocide.
Well, they kind of made a devil's bargain. They're like, well, I know it's still going to be bad for Gaza, but maybe she'll change, but it's going to be better for us. I kind of feel like that's where their head was. Like, and they don't understand the connection. What does this have to do with me? Well, it has to do with the militarization of the police. It has to do with the corruption in our government and the money that never gets spent here, because half of our budget or more, 1.3 trillion, if you count everything, goes to war.
The military.
And that's 1.3 trillion that does not get spent here.
So my theory is, just watching from what I've seen the past couple of days. Now, today was a nightmare in terms of Trump's appointment, But one thing that was really pretty amazing, unless it was staged, but it wasn't staged from the MAGA folks. I will say that. So the mainstream press was saying that they were going to, that Trump was going to possibly nominate Pompeo for Secretary of State. And the MAGA folks went nuts on Twitter and said, no Pompeo. And that trended to #1. And by late that afternoon, Trump had posted on his Truth Social that he would not be, that Pompeo would not be in the cabinet. Now that shows an engaged electorate, and I'm talking MAGA. There is nothing like that on the liberal on MAGA, on the blue MAGA side. Nothing.
Wait. So what didn't they like about Pompeo?
Because he's a neocon. So MAGAs are actually, it's so funny. I wrote I wrote a little commentary.
Wait, we're talking about a Trump appointment who's a neocon.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Pompeo.
So
who doesn't cut the mustard in Trump world?
See, that's the thing. Yeah. No, honestly, it's really bizarre what has happened in our country. MAGA people, I'm going to get, you're going to get angry messages about this. At least in terms of war, MAGA people are more left than liberals. Liberals are right-wingers when it comes to war because they've been so brainwashed to hate Putin. I mean, after 6 years straight of Trump-Russia collusion, they hate Putin to the degree that they are all for us bombing Moscow through Ukraine. They're all for it.
Or Iran, or...
Yeah. MAGA people are anti-intervention. Now, a lot of that might be just a kind of libertarian concept of we just don't want the money being spent. But a lot of it is pretty anti-interventionist, just as an, and so sure enough, the MAGA folks do not want the neocons. And they, saw the neocons trying to destroy Trump the first time around. Now he's going to betray them because he's going to work for his donors.
Yeah.
But it showed at least in a level of engagement that does not exist anywhere in the liberal world. They will do nothing.
How are we defining neocon?
All out war. We hating Russia, hating China, just hating Iran, trying to get involved in any kind of war that we can.
That's both parties.
Yeah.
Right. But my point was that the MAGA folks are actually not for that. They're anti-neocon.
And they pressured Trump to get him to change his
not to do
idea
a neocon.
Yeah.
Now they're going to fail. He's going to betray them. But that's
they're MAGAs, of course. They don't know what they're doing.
That's my point. That's my point, is that they actually are more engaged in the political process than liberals. Liberals won't do anything to ask their party. They will do nothing because they're all afraid that the other side's going to win. So they don't demand a thing. They don't demand a thing. Did they get upset when the Democrats wouldn't do $15 minimum wage? No, they didn't say a thing. Did they get mad when Medicare for All was not brought up when they were in power? No.
Didn't even get a vote.
No. And they never got mad about anything. Nothing. Yeah. They were just happy that their party was in power, and that was good enough for them.
Well,
go ahead, Joe.
You could push back. That's fine.
You're talking to someone who started in the middle of the Clinton administration saying, are you kidding me? Okay. I mean, everything that we're talking about and the official pundits and what, in a way, although I like to think I frame it a little differently, that, Trump has been twice elected by the Democrat Party. Okay?
Sure.
And this is with any analysis of how did this happen and how did what are you talking about? The Democrats were never interested in whether or not they could keep the White House, even when they get the White House. They don't seem to matter if they keep it or not. But when they get majorities in Congress, immediately in the midterm, they give it all up.
Right.
I don't know
My
how that
point was
happens
that their
exactly.
base doesn't complain. That my point was their base doesn't complain.
Yeah.
Other thing.
Yeah.
They don't complain at all.
But okay, here's the thing though. This is well, I'm trying to cheer up people such as the two of you and anyone else around me.
I'm happy. Don't worry.
Here's what probably 99.9% of the people who voted for Trump, this is what they're going to get. Because most of them are, I don't think they're billionaires, right?
No.
Or probably not even the elite, semi-elite. No. They're working class people mostly, right? They just put on steroids. The one thing you got to admit, the GOP record on what they approve or not approve historically is lopsided in their favor of like, what? Are you kidding me? So here's what the MAGA voters are going to get. They're anti-paid sick leave. They're anti-paid medical leave, medical and sick leave. They're against universal child care or pre-K. They're against any tax increase on corporations or the richest of the rich. They're against expanded child care tax credit. They're against student debt relief. Where in all that do MAGAs benefit at all?
No.
They're going to end the tariffs.
Yeah, I only had one example.
The tariffs are going to raise prices on all of us, including those knuckleheads.
Yeah,
That's what they're going to get for their vote.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Scott.
I can't imagine they're going to do that tariff. That seems like the stupidest thing ever. But my point was only in the subject of war. In the subject of war, MAGA is more left than liberal. That it's only one subject. Only one subject.
I would like to jump in and say that none of those things will ever be done by the Democrats either.
Right.
They might talk about them, but they never get done. So no.
It's like climate
change. And the Democrats have become the party of war. They keep stepping right. And if you watched any of their ads, which I got a little taste of it today, watching some other people talk about it. I mean, they tried to out Republicans.
Yeah.
I'm like, nobody wants, if you're in the Democratic Party, why do you want to vote for a Republican? I thought that wasn't you.
Well, I don't know why anyone would vote for a Democrat or a Republican.
But I'm saying, like, the people that believe in that, people that have been Democrat their whole lives.
I understand that. They're like robotic. They're puppets now.
They're
Democrats. They're the opposition
acting like
party.
Republicans, and why is that okay? That's not who you say you are. But then you get on the TV. I mean, Harris talking about her Glock, and I'm like, that's going to turn off your audience. The people.
As I said earlier, and maybe because I'm a little older, the Clinton administration clearly tipped the hand of where the Democrat Party was headed. And at that time, I was appalled. But the fact that because of this slow decline or circling of the drain of what used to be a truly working class people's party, the Democrat, we get what we have today. They twice have escorted this. And this is so much more egregious because the man's been convicted on 34 felony counts of sexual abuse. He's under indictment. What did he do on January 6th? Remind me of that. So can either of you explain to me why has this man not been in jail for the last 4 years?
Because they don't want him in jail.
But why?
Well,
serves the empire. I have no idea.
It makes no sense, though.
But it does.
Yeah, I don't understand why all of our presidents aren't in jail.
Well, war criminals. What does that tell the average citizen? When you and I got to pay our red light tickets and stuff, but this guy, he can try to overthrow the government and he's free, scot-free, to walk around and just be who they are, It's ridiculous.
Yes, it
is.
definitely got out of hand, and I saw footage where the cops were kind of letting them in too. So.
Right. No. I watched it when it was happening on TV.
Me too.
And in my opinion, my own was just when I saw that
Live on
he
TV.
moved, and I thought, you know what, I would have gone in too, because it kind of looked from the front, it looked like a party. Now later, no, seriously, later when they showed from the sides them breaking in, I'm like, oh,
I don't know.
that's not okay. Yes, no, that was
Remember,
my.
five drunks, you get a fight. 5 people stoned, you get a band. Okay,
all
they
I
weren't
can
exactly
say is when I saw it happening,
strumming
that
their
night,
way into the Capitol. They killed people.
people, a policeman died later from a heart issue around it.
And a protester.
Well, they
San
killed a
Diego.
protester.
Right,
They shot a protester. Yes, but again, that came later. That was those side shots of them breaking in. But they were only showing the front at first, and that was just my impression. I wasn't, it just kind of looked like people were having fun. So
yeah. Well, I mean, and we can litigate the past if we want. We know both parties have been bought and sold, and they use fear as their weapon, and that's why we are green.
Greens, right?
That's why we're green,
right?
So
exactly.
I mean, I think there's a lot we can do inside of the state. One of the things that we've been kind of kicking around was, help me if I get this wrong, Scott, HB 4488 was passed as the Crohn's and Colitis Awareness Bill. And then they took all the language out that had anything to do with that and filled it with election law. And they did attempt to shorten the petition window from 90 days to 60 days if you're an independent candidate or a new party, which means green, because they don't count us as being official yet, or qualified or established or whatever the words they want to use. They did amend it. So Scott did some great work reading all that stuff, and bless you for doing that. He found the provision where we think they walked it back. They're in veto session now. We don't know. So I want everybody to call their state senator and their state rep and ask them, how is this fair that, a Republican or a Democrat only needs 3,000 signatures, depending on what office you're running for, but let's say president. But anyone else that's not a Republican or Democrat that doesn't take corporate donor billionaire money and wants no part of that legalized bribery system that happens, because then you're compromised. They don't want any part of that. Why do they need 25,000? And that's not even where it stops. 25,000, and then you have to account for all the ones that will get thrown out, because they will go through that with a fine-tooth comb, and anything they can throw out, they will.
Are the people?
So you basically need 100,000. So that's 40 times what they need. How is that fair? And then even if you do that, they might sue you off the ballot anyway.
Yeah,
and we're dealing with something along those lines in Carbondale, where I'm from. I just got back from city council. Well, I didn't go to the meeting, but I just want to share real quick, and then I'll let you guys go. So there's 3 of our city council members that are on. They put in their paperwork to be on the ballot for the spring session. I think the April election. They are talking about paper clips and staples and things like that to get them thrown off the ballot.
Are the people who make these decisions to the detriment of the Greens or others, are they elected officials?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's the Illinois.
So my question would be, who's electing them, and why?
It's a circular argument. You can't get anybody good in there because they shut the door behind them. So then they get to make all the rules, and then they make the rules harder, and then nobody like Greens or any other party can get in there. So it's go ahead, Scott.
One of the famous ones that happened recently was Governor Cuomo of New York. The story was that he had a competitor that I guess was pretty popular, and he felt threatened by in an upcoming election. And he snuck some language into a bill that had nothing to do with it, just like this one. And he tripled the requirement in New York. So it went from 15,000 to 45,000. And the Green Party got to like 42,000 or something. And we failed in New York. And as you know, we all know from doing this, there's a huge difference between having your name on the ballot and having to write it in. And that's the kind of crap that they pulled. I don't know if you heard the Nevada one that the Democratic Party did, but the Democratic Secretary of State required the Green Party to use a particular petition. They used it. They got 3 times the requirement for the state. They submitted it. The Democrats sued and said it's an illegal petition. And the judge said, yep, it's an illegal petition given to them by the Democratic Secretary of State. So that's kind of crap that the Democratic Party does. But most people have no idea. They have no idea what goes on.
And that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you need more people, whether it's Green Party, my favorite, or some other third party that, might be worthy. That's why I asked, who elects these people? So get enough people who see that for what it is, and just want to live in a world in which you can count on everyone else around you, regardless of creed, color, religion, of being on the same page. Go along, get along. Yeah, right. This probably would have me locked up in Mantino, if officials heard me say that. Like, what world does he think he's ever going to live in? But that's the baseline for having elections, right? To elect people that represent your interest. And if everyone's interest is not to have animosity just because of whatever differences, but this is the history of the world in a way.
Yeah,
so that's why Greens are trying to change that narrative.
Yeah, that's
what I like about it.
And why are the requirements different? Who decided that? When did that get decided? We have less money, and we're not established. So you make the barriers bigger. That doesn't make sense.
And the obvious reason is that because they don't want the competition, because they know we're trying to get the real things done, and they are in the position where they pretend to want to get the real things done. And they want to continue that farce, and we expose their farce. So yeah, they definitely, they're trying to keep us from being noticed. That's, also the mainstream media, it's owned by the same people that own those politicians. So that's why you didn't see Jill on any major stations or get her in the debate or anything. It's just not going to happen.
Well, I really didn't expect to, but
I mean, I don't know that she would have made it this time, but the reality is that the debates used to be owned by the League of Women Voters. They used to run it, and they were much more expansive in allowing of other independents to have a voice. Well, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party united and got rid of them and started their own, and so that's why there hasn't been an independent since.
Yep, I would like to say there. It's awesome. We've got quite a few people watching, and all those people, if you would please like and subscribe and share. Also, if you have a question or if you want us to talk about something, feel free to post a comment. We'll put it up on the screen and see what our panel thinks about it. So
now, Joe, one thing you said, and it kind of, Edie and I have been talking about this quite a bit, and that's, you said, the Green Party or another party. And I think that one of my goals is to try to have some unity around the left and to try to engage other parties and other independent organizations that, and that's a really difficult road. I tell you, I just think, let me start with a positive. So Adam McKay, I think he was the director of the Big Short, was that what it was called? Adam McKay. Sure. Anyways, kind of pretty famous director in Hollywood. He kind of blew up at this election. And he said, I'm done with the Democrats. I'll do Green Party or Working Families or something. Right. And that started a conversation. A lot of people were screaming at him. That started a conversation, and he talked about having a third-party coalition. And that's exactly what we need. That's the kind of thing that we need to happen. Unfortunately, there's so many, I just see it over and over, so many blocks to that concept. And I'm just going to give one little example, Edie, that happened this week. to a friend of yours who DSA in Carbondale. Edie tells us that they're very supportive of the Green Party, which is great. DSA and other places are not so great, but in Carbondale, supposedly they are. And there's a brand new communist party called the American Communist Party. And they come out of a merge of Midwestern Marks, which is a YouTube channel that I really like. And then I think they're called Infrared, which I'm not too familiar with. But anyway, they kind of merged and they started a party. Well, sure enough, one of their promos is talking about how they're at war with the ACP. And I'm like, they're at war with DSA. And I was like, oh my God, right out of the bat. They're
Well,
like,
what they did is, I mean, here in Carbondale, the DSA and lots of community members, myself included, have been protesting for over a year now for Free Palestine. We show up every Sunday. We're there between 1 and 1:30. We do it for an hour and a half. Well, I mean, one of their members saw us last Sunday and stopped, like freaked out in his car, pulled around, stopped, joined us for the last few minutes. I won't call out his name because I'm not like that. But it was to get us to come to this drive they were having for the homeless, which I think is great. But I don't, that's awesome that you're doing that. You didn't ask us to help. You didn't ask us to co-sponsor. You just wanted us to show up. And I don't know enough about you to know if that's a thing I want to do. And then it became this attack ad on the people that have been there and have, I mean, the guy they were attacking has done so much good work in this town. I've known him for a year and I see how hard he works. He's amazing. And I just felt like it was very disingenuous.
Yeah, it and I had saved the clip on Twitter and I sent it to Edie and she goes, I know him. And it's just right. Even when I watched the thing, it just seemed like kind of forced. Like somehow they were going to show these DSA folks by having a food drive. I'm like, oh, okay, but really? That just...
Yeah, it was a warm clothing, something food drive, which is great. We'll keep doing that. If that's what you want to do on Saturday, please do. Please do. It's going to be cold. The homeless need your help. And we need to do lots more here. So I guess back to you, Joe.
Yeah, no, I know.
He is our guest.
No, everything you're talking about is idealistically, why aren't we all trying to do the same thing?
Yeah. I'll give another example.
Even as I hear myself say that, I realize it's never going to happen. Because the human race is programmed to have conflict. The history of the world proves that.
Yeah, but
How is that going to change anytime overnight? Okay.
But outside, we all want almost the same things. Almost exactly the same things.
Well, and I will say that human beings would not be human beings if we didn't figure out ways to cooperate. We are not the smartest. We are not the biggest. We are not the fastest. We are not the strongest.
Yeah, I agree. But we don't cooperate a lot of the time when it's really, really important, to do that.
It's been learned. It's because we've been divided. We've lost our community.
Well, that's part of like the human, the skin.
Well, the human race now.
The religion, the skin color alone.
We would have never become a human race if we didn't figure out a way to survive, and we needed each other to do that.
And we can send people to the moon, and then have not once, twice a lunatic as our president.
Okay? That was quite a good segue.
Yeah. That's where I am with billions and billions of galaxies and way out there. We're this little meaningless speck that can't get its bleep wired in terms of stop killing one another.
Oh my God.
Okay. I mean, yesterday was Veterans Day.
Yeah.
And I think
did you get my email?
Every veteran in the boomer generation, and after, have been involved in conflicts that never needed to be fought.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And it takes lives and it destroys lives of those who survive it. And
Well-
so, and this is both parties.
Yeah. So
Parties.
if everybody watching hasn't signed up to the Illinois Green Party, you don't have to become a member, but at least sign up to get the emails. I had I've kind of been having my hand in creating the emails, and I talked about, we will get, thank you for your service. We will get freedom isn't free. We will
Yeah.
get a free meal at some local restaurant on Veterans Day
Correct.
once a year. But then they don't talk about the people that get left out. They don't talk about the homeless veterans. They don't talk about the ones that have, PTSD and physical and mental stress. And
Yeah.
the one that I was pleasantly surprised once I went to go investigate. The National Green Party has a section in there, the GI and veteran platform or rights platform.
Mhm.
What people don't know is that recently, 20 years ago, I don't know when it started, but definitely started in Iraq, that they would discharge people that had been through war on something less than honorable, a bad conduct, so they don't have to pay their benefits.
Right.
It's like you broke them, and now you don't want to fix
That's the corruption. Yeah, the corruption of even veterans' benefits. It's just part of the system.
Mm-hmm.
The system includes the VA.
Yeah.
At the lower levels of care.
Well, I
things
challenge
run pretty
everyone. I challenge everyone to go look up the GI and veteran rights
No,
on the GPUS.
I've known a couple of Vietnam vets who one drank himself to death, and another took another really horrible path, and multiply that by exponentially. Something like a million point something guys, mostly guys, were either enlisted or drafted, and like you say, you get these kind of trite, thank you for your service and etc. What are we really thanking them for? I mean, for being there, yes, but did we need to go to Vietnam? Did we need to go to Iraq? Did we need to go to Afghanistan? We didn't need to go to any of these places.
No.
It's war for profit. I do have a comment, so I want to make sure I put it up here. Verixania, hopefully I'm saying that right. Also, partisan forces are often forgotten on Veterans Day. For example, civilians choosing to fight but aren't necessarily registered with a country's military. I hadn't really thought of that.
Those are called fortune of war people.
Yeah.
No?
Does that happen here? I think you have to be in the military here to fight, don't you? Maybe it's other countries. I said, does that happen in the United States? I wasn't aware of that.
I've only heard of it in other countries. I mean, I know a lot of groups united to go fight the fascists in Italy, right? That was a big deal of just not officially, but going to fight. I think, yeah.
Well, thank you for the comment. Yeah.
And I got an email from someone who was so impressed with your post, with your e-blast.
Me?
Yes, Edie. Yep.
Okay.
It was fantastic. Your Veterans Day post for the Green Party. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
My family is all veterans, and I feel like they have been let down, screwed over, you name it, by both parties. So that's why I'm here, and it's something very close to my heart. I actually, my dad's getting ready to turn 80. And I called and left it on his answering machine. I read the email to him. I mentioned it a couple of times, but he's all in his social circle. He's like, I got to go do this and do that, But I read it to him, and he said, I agree with everything you said.
Yeah.
And yet he voted Republican. I'm working on it.
Well, yeah.
So, because they don't like Kamala. I mean, it's the same thing.
Right.
We gotta stop this. Red blue thinking. It's not working for us. It's just putting our country in trouble.
Yeah.
And empires fall. They always fall. Now, how it falls is what I'm concerned about. I think we're at the last stages, according to Chris Hedges. And I would like to see something good built. So when that happens, because it's going to crumble, they've stopped caring about us. And all they want to do is blow stuff up around the world and kill people. So when that happens, we need to be ready to take that space. So join us, help us, let's do some stuff, you know?
You know, one thing that we didn't promote this time, and I don't know if it's a great strategy right in the heat of the moment, but I actually think that we should maybe try to make it a strategy in non-election years, is just to get the concept out there. So many people want an independent party, you know, what, 60 to 70% or something,
Mm-hmm.
and yet they need to. I'm sure they do not know that what it takes to get there, and the big number is getting to the 5%. And if we made that a campaign unto itself, you know, and because that's how you get federal funding, that's how you get the tag that
Mm-hmm.
means you won't have to be killing yourself to get petition, you know, quantities 10 times the amount of a Republican and Democratic. So that's a really important goal. And I also think just, you know, we do need to unify.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to talk a little bit briefly about Shama Sawant, who runs Workers Strike Back. And it was really, she's great, but it was really awkward. And I felt a little sorry for Jill. I mean, she did work with Jill Stein through this whole campaign, and that was an excellent framing of unity. It was really good, along with Abandoned Harris. The three groups were out there doing a lot of events. But Shama kept saying, and we need a new party. And then, you know, she would say, well, you know, we're not ready now to have one, but we can't just be running candidates who are going to sell us out. Now, obviously, she must have a past with Socialist Alternative or something. That's where
She does.
Yeah.
She talked about that. We did have another comment, so let me know when you're.
Oh yeah, just quickly, but and you know, Jill's sitting right there. You just look at Jill; she's like, da, 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 da. But in the meantime, okay, before Shaba comes up with her new party, we're here, and we need to be, you know, out there getting the message out, and you know, and again, it isn't even important that which particular party it is, just that we unify and get our message out and reach to 5% and make some actual impact in this country. That's what's important.
Yes.
But what would we call this unified party?
Well, hang on. Let me read this really quick. Hang on. Yeah, here it doesn't happen. Talking about the civilians joining to fight. Here it doesn't happen. But when I think back to my family's past, my great grandma's sister-in-law, when escaping the Greek genocide, had to fight at 14. So I think of her on Veterans Day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just her, of course, all veterans.
Right.
History of the world.
Yeah. And Abdul Jones says, "Hey Greens,
Hey.
What's up?
Hey.
Thanks for coming." And yes, go ahead, Joe.
No, I was asking if we can get a unified, independent third party, what would we call the party?
Yeah, I don't think. Again, I think the point.
I believe the Green Party is the most well known of third parties right now.
Yeah. No, I don't think. Again, I don't even think that's the point. I think it's more important that we just be.
No, but I'm saying you have to give yourself a name, though.
Oh well, in my opinion, it's the Green Party for right now. She can go ahead and talk about something as long as, in the meantime, she's working with Jill Stein. I mean, that's to me, that's the important thing.
Right.
Well, okay. So here's my take on it. Green Party is malleable. You can come in, you can work on the things that you want. It is a people's party, not the people's party, because that's history. That didn't happen. But it belongs to us. It's grassroots.
Right.
So if you want it to be something, join us and help us make it that. If there's something that you think isn't there, that's a space that we will welcome you in.
Yeah.
And following with that, you know, there's other groups that aren't parties that we can build coalition with in between elections, but then during elections, those other third and minor parties, if they've done the work and they've gotten on the ballot, maybe we should support them if we weren't able to do it there.
Right.
You know, I mean, Jill did that with PSL right before
Right.
the election,
Right,
and
Claudia.
Cornel West did that with PSL as well.
Yeah.
So
I get the feeling that just listening to the two of you and other Greens, local Illinois, that there was some kind of disconnect between the statewide Green Party agenda and Jill's national campaign.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
This thing about the 5%.
mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what at first I just said, I don't care. I'm going to donate. And then I thought, well, you know, I hope I can see some ads eventually or whatever and get some traction with it. But you've got to keep people coming in.
Yeah.
You've got to keep building on this. I was on board totally with the concept that this woman, my focus was on her. I mean, I voted in Oak Park. There was all of one Green on the ballot, and I gave that person my vote. And I've been doing that since 2000. So anyway, the idea of the coalition building, get people together. It seems like you should be able to attract people to that agenda, given they're mostly working class families, and that litany of things the GOP is against.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're throwing away your vote, and all the red state statistics, which are mostly the MAGA.
I would like to say that I agree with Butch Rudolph Ware that we were out organized, and that's what we need to do now. People think we go away. We don't go away. We just stop getting covered, and we barely get covered when we're running a presidential candidate. You know, so we need to organize. We need to get. I mean, there's elections that happen every year. Your city council is going to be in 2025, and then 2026 is midterms, which is your Congress people and your senators. And then 2027 is your city council again. And then 2028 is presidential. So, you know, we got to keep at it.
Right. Absolutely.
We've got to keep getting local media to interview us, Edie. Okay.
I got interviewed today.
You need that kind of microphone, even for 10 seconds. Right?
Yeah.
This is Green Party candidate so-and-so. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was about the city council and why we were there, and Texas governors next year. Yeah, exactly. And we need somebody for a governor's race.
You know, I will say that one thing that really did impress me. I've followed the YouTube channels and Twitter, you know, for quite a while, and the folks I watch, they're leftists. They're you know, they're pretty not that they're kind of anti-electoral politics. They think it's a little, you know, not a little, they're cooler than that kind of thing. And I watched over and over and over folks to come on board with Jill Stein. Mm-hmm. I mean, and it just showed that she ran an impressive campaign. She did a fantastic job. Mm-hmm. I mean, even Due Dissonance, I don't know if you know them. They're, you know, harsh. They're harsh folks. They're already anti-Green Party again. But they came on board for Jill Stein. And I do think that if you present somebody who's a dynamic person who is excellent at speaking and has the right, you know, understanding of foreign policy and domestic agenda, and people do come on board. They do. And I saw it happen with Jill. I've never seen such enthusiasm in the online YouTube, Twitter world as has been for Jill.
And that's why the vote totals don't. That's why the vote totals don't make sense to me.
I don't think
that's where the vote totals don't make sense to me.
Right. Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I agree with that.
I was shocked.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm
totally shocked.
Yep.
Given however tea leaves and the history in my lifetime, this is the perfect moment for a third party to catch fire.
Yeah.
In spite of knowing the media will try to stop it. But look what Bernie did And look what Ralph Nader did in the early 2000s. He would pack gymnasiums
Yeah.
and college. Like that guy showed up, and the young people mostly showed up, and others. That could have happened this time. I really thought that might happen again. But
that's why I don't trust the numbers. And by the way, in case anybody doesn't know, because I heard somebody not sure the other night, Butch Ware is running for the governor in California.
Yeah, he is.
Because Gavin Newsom is termed out, and the other two people apparently aren't well known. And oh my gosh,
yeah,
how great would that be?
Hey, if Trump could come back, maybe the Terminator could come back, huh?
No, there you go.
I'll be back, and he's back.
Oh, hang on. Bergsania. Hell, part of the reason I started volunteering for the Greens was being inspired by Butch Ware.
Yeah.
Do more than just vote Green, but organize Green too. Absolutely.
Right.
He was a phenomenal find, and I'm forever impressed with that guy.
Yeah.
So we are at 8:01. Look at us. I mean, we can hang on here longer if y'all want to talk, but
it's up to you. It's up to you.
Am I getting time and a half now?
Oh, right.
Oh, crap.
Are we unionized there?
Yeah. Exactly.
We can do a close, like maybe 60-second, whatever you guys want to talk about, say to close this out. How's that? Joe, why don't you go first?
You want me to summarize how I feel in closing?
You go.
Here. You live in a world where up is down, right is wrong, wrong is right, and black is blue, blue, blah, blah, blah. But keep working at it and think for yourself, think critically, check your sources. Don't believe everything you read or hear in the media. The odds are you will not be getting correct information, and you might be able to make this a better world.
I love it. What about you, Scott? What you got?
Yeah, I think I'll just tag on that and say, right, I came to some realization a few years back that mainstream media is 100% propaganda. And once you kind of come to that realization, then you kind of can start on a path of trying to find actual journalism. And I'll throw out some of my favorites. I've already mentioned Revolutionary Blackout Network. They're more just commentators, but Gray Zone is good. Mint Press, those are journalism. Electronic Intifada. And
I'm going. Electronic Intifada.
Yeah, no, they're out of Chicago. Yeah. I think that once you kind of come to that realization, you see it from an outsider viewpoint and the kind of machinations that go on to try to control the public. And I'm glad that the Green Party exists. I agree, Edie. I think it's the best place to be. The Communist parties, I mean, I want unity, but I swear to God, they are so hard-assed.
Well, I mean, we can do.
But I mean, I'm just saying, yes, and we need to unify amongst the people, no matter what party they happen to be in.
1984, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I got 1984. The movie fits perfectly. You know what other movie should be re-released and put on like 4,000 screens, like it's a Marvel movie or something?
Yeah.
Idiocracy.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Have either of you seen it?
No.
Oh my goodness.
Who did that?
By Mike Judge.
Okay, we'll check it out.
It's a raging satire.
Okay.
On the future of this country in particular, if it's allowed to be run by stupid people. Idiocracy.
Okay.
Look it up.
Well, and they've been writing about that for decades because 1984 the movie was originally George Orwell's book, which is phenomenal. And I like to tell people that wasn't a manual, that was a warning.
Yeah.
Stop using it like to make things bad.
Right.
Handmaid's Tale. Like
I
can see that happening now.
Yeah, that's the grim reality in the future. Idiocracy shows you in satirical extremism, but it's really weird to watch it now, 20 years after it was made. Talking about, you got someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene in high office. It's idiocracy. Please do me a favor. Watch the movie. It's easy to find. It's probably on Netflix or something.
Okay.
And matter of fact, I think I know it's on Hulu right now.
Well, I will put that on my watch list. I would like to summarize saying this election for me was no surprise. The Democrats refused to do the one thing that would have got them elected.
Yep.
Stop the genocide now. They could have stopped it with a phone call. I'm sorry. Kamala Harris could have called Bibi, whether she was president or not. Like, look, I'm going to be president, and you need to stop this because you're not getting any more funds. Period. The end. Full stop. They refused, and they also never spoke to people's needs as well. So it's no wonder that Trump won. However, less people turned out. You know, a lot of people voted for the couch.
Yeah.
So I would like to invite everyone to join the Green Party. Let us be the alternative to the two corporate parties. And I refuse to be afraid anymore because fear makes you kind of dumb. So put your fear aside.
Yeah.
And get in touch with what you really care about and work on that. So
maybe those who voted for the couch are now under psychotherapy. On the couch.
There you go.
That was what they chose to do because they could not understand what they were being asked to do.
Yeah. And
Right.
yes, Abdul Jones says 1984, so noted. Wonderful book.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
You gotta brace yourself.
We are all potentially Winston Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And the 2-minute hate, for anybody that's read it.
Yeah, right.
It was a propaganda fest. Like they go and they yell at their enemy on the TV screen as a group, which would just fed into their fear and their obedience. And who the enemy was would switch according to whatever they wanted to do. You know, they had the minister of truth that was manufacturing lies. Does that sound familiar? I mean, they're using it like a manual of how to screw up the world.
Exactly.
Another movie from, I think, the late 80s that fits right now is Brazil by Terry Gilliam. Have you seen that one?
I did see
Brazil.
that for some years. Yep. I remember Terry Gilliam. Yep.
Yeah, it's a raging take. You think you're watching a movie about 1984 because it has that visual texture, but it becomes something so different, comical, but very messaging in a potential future world in which, as the audience member, you go, "Oh my God, really? You know, what world is this?" This is like a play on art imitating life or life imitating art, honestly. Yeah. And, you know, in film, in literature, maybe even in paintings, obviously, right?
Yeah. For some, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you've been mentioning your guys' favorite movies. One that really kind of knocked my socks off, which is a foreign film, but you really don't even need to know what they're saying because it's obvious. It's called The Platform. Has anyone seen that?
The Platform?
The Platform. I believe it's like Spanish or from Portugal. It's from that part of the world.
Sort of recent.
And it's at least 5 years old.
Oh, I'll look it up.
But it's like these people that are imprisoned, but you have like a cellmate, right? So when you go into prison for whatever reason, you get to choose your favorite food, right? So it'll be on there, but the cells are lined up like this,
right,
all the way down to the bottom, and who knows how many levels there are.
Yeah.
So the food comes down for everyone on the first level. So the first level gorges themselves.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, it's
kind of a metaphor. Down less and less and less, so the people at the bottom are starving.
Yeah,
which is capitalism and
Yeah.
you know, the rich take everything and the system we have.
I like curling up in a little popcorn for a dystopian movie. You know?
Oh, it is.
It just makes you feel so much
phenomenal.
better about the screwed up world you're living in. You know?
Yeah.
Popcorn makes everything better.
Yeah.
Of course it does.
Unless it's coming at different levels, and by the time you get, it's an empty
Oh
bowl.
no, I only got the kernel. I didn't get. Well, we have quite a few viewers, so we can hang on
Hey.
for a little bit if you guys want. Or I'm having a good time. I love movies is one of my favorite things, but yeah. So I also would like to thank everybody for being here. And go sign up for the Green Party, the Illinois Green Party, at ilgp.org, and let's get some stuff done. We need a candidate for governor. That's
So-
what I want to do.
Okay, yeah.
You
so
do?
Vicky and I actually,
For Illinois?
yeah, for 2026, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
We need to start looking now. So if you know anyone that might be interested, let us know.
Edie and I every Thursday are doing a Zoom. So go to ilgp.org's events tab and look for it. We always have it sitting there for the link. So it's Thursdays at 8 p.m. And we it's a mixture of just hang out and organize. We try to get both done. So there's like no pressure. If you just want to come check us out, stop in. And then, we're going to be obviously kind of planning the next steps for post-election, what we're going to be featuring, that HB 4488 bill, starting to look for candidates. There's been a few people who have already reached out about wanting to run for candidates' offices. And different campaigns. Like I talked about the 5% campaign, which I think we kind of should be doing in general. And also trying to work on co-sponsoring events. I really want the Green Party to be super, super involved in all the different issues around the state. And so we need to be, and it's a great way to network with folks. We need to be co-sponsoring events and being out at those events. So
Yes,
all
and
that
go speak, go find out what people are doing in your city. You might be surprised. Your city and town.
and let us know.
William
Thursday
Thomas.
Thursday nights at 8:00 on the Zoom.
The time to start a presidential election is after the presidential election.
Right. Exactly.
Let's go. Come on.
Yes.
Well, what does that lieutenant governor position pay? I might be interested.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to run for governor? The reason I'm kind of focusing on that, and that's not to discourage anyone from running locally, because we can have up to 7 people on one petition, because we have to do the petition thing. Okay. 5% of the governor's race, as long as they don't change it, the way I understand it right now, it will give us ballot access for 4 years, because it's a 4-year term, which means in 2028, president will be on the ballot in Illinois. Then look what we can do. We won't be spending money on petitioning. We won't be, wasting our time with trying to get signatures and not even sure if it's going to work. And then trying to do a write-in campaign, which is never as successful as being on the ballot.
Yeah, much different. Right.
Yeah. And in an off year, it's easier, by the way, to do those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Did either of you know Julie Samuels? She was a former Green Party candidate for lieutenant governor, probably about 4 elections ago. Unfortunately, she passed earlier this year at age 81. But when I got to know her, she kind of revitalized my greenish, hardcore. What the hell's going on? Kind of, because she was so deep in the weeds in it at that time, in the local Illinois Green Party politics.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to run, national or local, you're the candidate. Throw away any idea that you have a regular schedule. Yeah, that you can live a normal life anymore. So you got to be in for a dollar and for a dime, the whole thing,
Yeah, absolutely.
I admire Jill so much. And it's not just anybody. Trump, like I said, Trump automatically gets all the attention from mass media because he's this bright, shiny object that for some people is bright, shiny, and for most of us is a dark light, a negative kind of like a black hole.
Oh, there you go.
So we have some questions here.
Oh,
go ahead.
Can out-of-state people help in petition signings?
Yes.
I read, and yes, they can.
Yes, they can.
I
Absolutely.
answered yes. And then Jay, did Julie run with Rich Whitney?
Good question. That sounds like it would be correct.
Do you know, Joe? The Julie person you were talking about, did she run with Rich
Julie
Whitney?
Samuels.
Why do I have trouble saying? Yeah.
Because I think he ran a couple of times from what I remember.
And he did well. He did up to 10%.
Right. He did real well.
Mm-hmm. So it is possible, you guys.
Yes.
You just have to find somebody good, somebody that will do the work. And we have a team of people to help you.
Yes.
Just come talk to us.
We're approachable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look
at us. Yeah, we're friendly. We don't bite.
We're people.
Hard.
Yeah.
Had to get my Austin Powers in there.
There you go.
By the way, where the heck has Mike Myers been anyway?
Oh.
I don't know.
No idea.
He's up there in Canada, just counting his money, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. So okay.
So shall we start a band?
No.
I drink tea, mint tea. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm a caffeine addict.
Joe, I'm a singer-songwriter, so I'm already in that game. So
okay.
Yep.
I'm an artist. I could help design something.
Well, and I write. There you go.
There you go.
So
I'll help you write lyrics.
Okay.
You perform. Edie captures it. In still life.
Yeah. That's
Be
good.
speaking.
Yes.
The moment,
oh Lord.
the time, the place, the
There you go.
vibe.
Oh, hang on. We got something interesting happening over here. I was asked to run for Green Party City Council in Riverside, California, and I asked my mom to run too. Both of us won the election.
Yay.
The population of Riverside County, California is 1.6 million, and there were 500,000 in our local.
Nice.
California, they got a lot of greens. And if you go to the national website and just look it up, there's a lot of people that have been elected. Tons of people have run.
Yep.
I mean,
It's not like Greens are not already elected, right?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
But they're lower hanging political fruit, so to speak, in terms of the media caring about them.
Right, but it's all.
But they get elected.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And they get the message out.
Right.
And however they do that in a world in which you have to pay to play. Seriously.
Yeah.
But it's like Edie showing up. She came straight from a demonstration.
Right.
That kind of, we're going to get it done.
That's why my cheeks are all rosy. Because it was cold.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I know, not compared to Chicago, and you
becomes-
got what you guys have to deal with, but I think I got thin skin now after living on the West Coast for a while.
You sound like my sister who's been living in Florida for 42 years,
Mhm.
and you live in Carbondale, Illinois.
Yeah. Well, I was San Diego for a number of years, and
That's right. I'm sorry. I
I
forgot.
chose.
So you had the
California.
transition. I forgot about that back.
Yeah, I chose Carbondale. I wanted to be close to family. I wanted to leave my job.
Okay.
There was no way for me to ever stop working in
Yeah.
California because they've got it set up to where you work till you die unless you're rich.
Yeah, but 300 miles south does change the climate.
A little bit.
A little bit. Right. Yeah.
First year I moved here, we got tons of snow. And I was just so happy that I didn't have to get out in it. It was so wonderful. I'm like, yeah, I see it. It's great. And I'm going to go have some coffee over here.
Okay. Okay. Been there, done that. I'm gonna have another
Like,
coffee.
don't have to scrape the car. Don't have to, I was a delivery driver. So, don't have to get out there and try to get my stuff through the snow and into the store. And yeah. So I don't miss that at all. I miss the people. Yes. But now I have a whole new group of friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, wow. So more people have joined since we went past
Oh my
time. This is wonderful.
God.
Well, now that we're not so rigidly programmed, you
Yeah.
know,
Well, see, greens aren't. We're flexible,
Right.
baby.
finally they all loosened up and just actually talked about, you know,
Yeah.
I
Talk
don't
about our favorite movies. Go ahead, Scott.
know. I was going to say with
might be a
the
big
going
part
back
of
to the campaign and the money spending. I don't know if you heard that the Kamala campaign is $20 million in debt, and they
Not $1
spent
billion.
$20 million in debt, and they
And they
spent
raised
$1
one.
billion.
Right.
They they gave Oprah $1 million to do her little studio thing that she.
Don't you do
They
not want to
spent,
get me started on Oprah Winfrey.
yeah,
Okay?
they started
Seriously.
that
I wrote a
podcast.
letter to an editor about her once.
Yeah,
When
that
she is the
podcast.
most egomaniacal, you know, megaloencephalic, whatever. Who else has this magazine with your own picture on
I
it?
know, for every issue.
Okay.
Oh, I couldn't believe
what
that.
peed me off, this is around 2001. Oh, she just wants so much media attention, like she didn't have enough. Northwestern University, one of the best universities in the country, agrees to let her teach a course in media something.
Yeah,
But she only has a bachelor degree. You have to have at least a master's.
yeah.
So I wrote this letter describing in my way how this is an outrage and an insult to every adjunct who has to have certain credentials and a background. And the fact that she ran a talk show does not qualify her as an expert in media anything.
Right.
No,
I mean, the
Oprah
university.
Winfrey is just such a irritating person.
Well, the university has shown how corrupt they are. That's for sure. In these past.
And I took it on in Northwestern as well.
Oh.
You know, I said, "What are you doing? Why are you denigrating yourself like this?"
Horrific.
Because this publicity hound asked you to do it.
Yeah.
But I guess that's where we are today, too.
That podcast.
But I'm so glad she supported Kamala. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. Okay.
Well, yeah, for $1 million. And that podcast, Call Your Daddy, or something about. Do you know that podcast, Call Me Daddy, or something? Anyway, it's some kind of popular
I don't know
podcast.
my podcast list.
Yeah,
Call Me
and I know
Daddy?
I've never heard of it. I still don't know the
I
name.
know who's your daddy. That one I'm sure of.
Maybe that's the name of it. I don't know. But
Hey,
anyway,
now I'm from Indiana. Watch it.
Kamala, they did an interview there, but they had to set up a studio in a hotel room. They spent $100,000, and it was 2 chairs. I mean, they spent
Imagine if it were 4.
We're doing this right now for just the price of what, StreamYard and some time. Like,
Well, you are paying
Yeah,
us.
exactly. Well, I had to pay for all. This is all fake back here. This is like a set.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
I actually live like I'm
oh
homeless.
my gosh,
Yeah. Right. So.
you guys are killing me.
But no, and they were making the comment that, which I never thought of, is one of the things that the Democratic Party got so pissed at Bernie about was the fact that he just asked people to send their little donations.
Right.
And so that got rid of
And he
this
did.
whole industry,
Yeah.
this whole industry where they fly people into expensive places, put them up in New York to do the fundraising for the big dollars and all that kind of stuff.
And he was winning.
Right, but they didn't like that because they weren't making their big money. I mean, people made this was $1 billion campaign in a couple of months.
Right.
All that money went to some folks, so they made
Oh,
a lot of money over that.
True.
So that was the point: is that it's a it's a scam. It's
It's buying
It's a scam.
access,
right.
and for people that are on here that still think Bernie's cool, I'm sorry.
Oh my God! Please,
Yeah,
please,
let us
Bernie
down
did,
and-
please
He
leave
let us
him.
down in 2016. He should have came out of that convention when it was obvious that they were working against him. Said, "I am running as an independent," and I think he
Right.
would have won. And then they
Right.
did it to him again in 2020. Yet he still carries the water for the Dems. He's like,
Right.
"Oh, this is wrong," but you
Right.
still got to vote for Democrats. I'm like,
Right. He said, vote for genocide, vote for genocide, vote for genocide up until the day of the election. Then the day after, oh, we need Medicare for all. Oh, the Democratic Party isn't working for the working class. You piece of shit. I mean,
You think?
we don't get in.
We won't.
No,
I don't
what
think
a horrible, horrible person. Honestly, like
he's been preaching, you know, that kind of. He wants it both ways, obviously.
Well, to me, he is the worst politician there is. Honestly, he's the worst. Because
I think I have someone I would rate ahead of Trump.
Oh, I don't know. I swear to God, because he betrayed all of us. He betrayed all of us.
All the Democrats. He's an independent. So even I agree. Even Bernie.
Oh.
But, I mean, who didn't sell out? Rashida? And what's the other one who got reelected?
Nobody on the degree of Trump. I mean, nobody on the degree of Bernie Sanders. He could have won that election. He had popular support.
Well, he was winning. But he was winning it, and then they basically assassinated his campaign. What else could he do at that point?
He could have left. He could have
railed about it, but it wouldn't have made any difference.
No, wrong.
Wait.
He could have left. He could have left and run independent.
He is an independent.
Oh, no, he's not.
He didn't run as an independent.
No, he's not.
He's not a Democrat. He's a Democratic socialist.
But he's a Democratic. He's a Democrat in independent clothing. He ran on the Democratic Party primary. Okay.
I get that. Yeah.
So when it came out, I think that was through WikiLeaks that was it John Podesta and Hillary Clinton and Debbie Wasserman Schultz were working against Bernie Sanders to make sure he did not get the nomination from the Democratic Party. When he left that convention and saw how bad that they were silencing him, he could have left with these millions of people that loved him at that point and said, I renounce my candidacy in the Democratic Party. I am running as an independent. Please donate to my campaign. And he would have done it. He could have been our first independent president because I would have given him all the money in my bank account, I think, at that point. But he didn't.
At least he still talks the talk once in a while.
Which makes him worse.
No, it does. It doesn't make him. Okay, he's a hypocrite. I get that.
He does that to keep people in the Democratic Party.
Way ahead of calling out Bernie. I call out Al Gore in 2000, for God's sake. We're talking, he was elected president. And then they took it from him.
Right.
And he didn't object at all.
He didn't fight.
That's a way bigger fish that we can fry here than Bernie. Okay. And then the means by which Democrats fail to attract even their home states to vote for them sometimes is astounding. It's truly astounding. So I would, and look, again, to me, we have a system. The system encompasses everything that it needs to function. And then things like the Green Party exist outside of it. And we're trying to work to how can we, get involved here, the machinery. Right. You start with the local elections, and if you can work your way up, I get all that. It's a charade. The Democrats in my lifetime have become, it was LBJ who escalated the Vietnam War, not a Republican, and on and on and on. With the exception of a Jimmy Carter. Who was,
I seem to think that if you want something dirty done, hire a Democrat because nobody will complain.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Is that mean?
Right.
So I see there's a lot of people watching. Can everybody please like the streams and share it? If you guys are enjoying the conversation that is going on an hour and a half now.
Post-election.
I enjoy you guys so much. And I get to vent a little,
Right. I get to vent a lot.
This is therapeutic, right? Yeah. Let's do the next one. We're all laying down on the couch.
Next one will be about our favorite movies. No, I don't know.
Or remember, Idiocracy, Brazil, and The Platform.
1984 and the platform.
about-
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's in Spanish, but the Spain type of Spanish.
No, that's okay. Right. Yeah.
And it's got subtitles, but wow, it will leave you very unsettled and in a good way, because we need to understand what's happening. And the book Wool, if anybody has read Hugh Howey's book, Wool is all about the same thing. It's like, you know, the stratosphere of society, how the rich at the top get everything, and then it just,
Right.
yeah. And the people that make things happen are always at the bottom. When are we going to join together?
If you're in Oak Park, where olive trees weep, trauma of occupation in the West Bank, that's December 2nd at the Oak Park Library. I know that Edie, you saw that already, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
It was
Wait, who's gonna be there? Who?
It's a film that they're screening at the Oak Park Library on December
What's it called?
2nd, where olive trees weep.
Oh, where Olive. Oh, I think I've seen that promotion. Right.
It is a must see for anyone that wants to learn more about what's happening in Gaza. It's not as brutal as some of the ones that I've seen,
Yeah.
but it's told from the point of view of this woman that became a Palestinian journalist.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know,
I think I've seen
just
that
her
on
story.
local public TV on channel.
Oh, is
11.
it them talking about it? Because the movie's not out yet. They're just filming it, or like doing screenings.
Well, I saw there must be a similar documentary because it was focusing on, you know, a Palestinian activist.
Well, they had to extend the
A
screenings
filmmaker.
they had to extend the screening because it was so popular. It was going to end like this week, but they extended it to the end of the year. And bless SIU for letting us screen it there. I got the idea from a Springfield group that I stay in touch with them. And one of the people that was involved in making it and is interviewed a little bit on there is Dr. Gabramate. He's a trauma specialist.
Yeah. And
he is a Jewish Holocaust survivor that kind of helps people understand that this is wrong because it's wrong. Genocide's just wrong. You know? It's a must see. Yes, please.
To quote,
go to the website where all trees weep. It's quite a.
One of my favorite books. Maybe you're familiar with it. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
Oh, sure.
No.
No.
Oh, yeah, I remember. I didn't.
Per se, this man was so brilliant. You know, he wrote 2 novels, both narratively connected, and one of the famous quotes, one of his characters is Phaedrus, you know, dating back to the Greek, you know, classic Greek. And long story short, the book gets into, you know, how mind, body, spirit, connecting with, you know, the natural world, the mechanical world, blah, blah, blah. In terms of trying to do your best. And there's this quote, Phaedrus. And what is good and what is not good? Need anyone tell us these things? And that's where I was way back saying, you know, in an ideal world, we would all be able to just naturally get along.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But then the assumption is, who's this guy, this third guy? He must be talking about like Brave New World. You take Soma every day and you're numbed out and you're robotic. I don't know. I'm trying to be positive.
Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah.
But it automatically
it's
comes
hard.
off as ridiculous. That's the irony.
Sir Jay says, Edie, you're statewide. We're statewide right now. So I'd like to remind everyone we've only got 2 likes. Come on, you guys. Like, subscribe, and share, and participate. I love it when people ask questions and
Come on,
make
like,
comments.
subscribe and share. Or I know a lot of people here in Cook County,
Oh, boy.
and you know, hey Joe, you got a problem? We can solve it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
just
let's
join
talk.
and subscribe. Nobody gets hurt. Okay.
That's a good tactic. There we go. Yeah, let's use some Chicago tactics to build our channel.
It's the Chicago way.
Yeah.
It's right.
What was that movie? Sean Connery. I'm trying to think.
Untouchables.
Untouchables.
Right.
They bring a knife. You bring a
Yeah,
gun.
and
and
the Chicago one. Yeah.
we're for gun for nonviolence. Just saying.
James Bond.
Yeah.
Film right down in Union Station with, having taught film history and stuff. What's the iconic scene in the movie that is paying homage to Sergei Eisenstein, the Russian director of Battleship Potemkin? Anybody? The iconic scene? The baby carriage
Going down the stairs.
bumping down the stairs.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
That was who directed that movie? I can't even remember.
movie
But
is
he was paying homage to Sergei Eisenstein.
Okay.
Now, who did direct that? I can't
was
remember.
it Roman Polanski?
No.
What movie are we talking about?
The Untouchables with Kevin Costner and Sean Connery.
I don't know. Does anybody in our audience know? We have a sizable audience.
There you go. Right. Yeah. Help us out here.
Yeah. So I think Jay wants me to say Cook County Green Party member meeting December 7th.
I'm going to put that in my calendar.
There you go.
Should be easy to remember. Pearl Harbor Day.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
December 7th.
So, and Cook County's been growing. So Illinois has been growing. So come grow with us.
That's a great
show up and bring like a couple of friends.
That's actually a great little, tag. Like every college, like Triton College, and billboards around here, they come up with a, come grow with us. This is a great one. I haven't seen it.
I just pulled that.
There you go.
Yeah.
I kind of borrowed Butch's. I saw an interview with him. He was outside at UC Santa Barbara right before the election, probably. I think they posted it after, but he said the future is green because the two parties are going to implode or ruin our country, or
Right.
People will just have enough of them at some point when it becomes too painful for them to keep supporting them. And the future is green.
We haven't bottomed out yet. That's the tragedy, but that's also the inevitability. You bottom out, and then
Yeah, and we were talking about that the other day, right, Joe? And I know me and my friend Yvonne were talking about that. It's like until it becomes personal. But there's some of us that, I see the writing on the wall. Like, can you just like look, like let me help you see it. It's not going to end well if we don't get together.
Well,
we could go full fascist.
As you know, my theory is that it's going to be the climate catastrophe that does it.
I was about to inject when I see young being maybe a couple, late 20s to maybe early 30s, and they're almost out of a Norman Rockwell painting. They've got their shaggy dog with their the child, maybe a double wide or something. And I think, did you consider climate science before you decided to have those children? Because they're going to be around for several more decades, and every trajectory in climate science says it's going to be a nightmare by then. It's pretty bad right now, right? And not that I would walk up to anybody and say, what is your problem? Why are you bringing this? But there's a part of me that just wonders, getting back to, are you thinking this out completely? Or maybe before having the children, if you can possibly make a difference in legislation so that your children, your grandchildren, won't have to walk around with an oxygen tank on their back or whatever the case may be, or early onset, God knows how many respiratory diseases and related pollution.
And a food system collapse. Everything's going to collapse. Everything is going to collapse.
Well, Wall Street's happy about that. People who have their portfolios have been making money hand over fist for a week.
Right.
But the thing is, it's going to serve ultimately even their demise.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that, but
Well,
as I said,
look at
we
what
still
happened in
haven't bottomed out.
1929. You know, people
Right.
that thought they had it made
Right.
jumping out of windows.
Right.
William
Yeah.
Thomas says it seems like the Republicans and Democrats are merging into one political party.
They absolutely
It's a
are.
very
It's
smooth
the
merging.
uniparty.
Dick Cheney Democrats.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nobody had to
it's
swerve
one
to get out
party.
of the way.
It is the
Just
one.
merge right with us, you know.
Right.
This is
So
pretty
what you were saying, Joe, is so true. How absolutely urgent it is, because we're not going to get any kind of real climate change legislation out of the Democrats. They believe in climate change. The Republicans don't, but that's their only difference. The legislation is still the same. I mean, the
Well, it's
Democrats are fracking and drilling like crazy.
The only kind of green they believe in is cash.
Right. I mean, we have got to destroy this system. That's why we need to unify the left to get rid of this system. We have to. It's going to get really, really urgent.
Yeah.
I've also thought of it in this term. So, you know, Trump got basically the same amount of votes as he did in 2016 or 2020, right? He did about 74 million. It was the 13 million that disappeared between Biden and Harris.
I think it went to Jill.
Yeah, right.
So, question:
They're hiding it from us.
Will the Democrats try to address that big thing in the room I alluded to earlier, Gaza? Are they? See, if they don't budget whatsoever, I don't know what else it's going to take people who, for some reason, in spite of knowing they're voting for a genocide, fell into the fear factor.
Well, and I'll also say, you know, they learned it here. You know, people don't talk about that Native Americans were genocided, and that's how we got our country.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we are on Native land, and the people that I hang with always honor them. And Green Party is for land back and all kinds of other stuff. I mean,
right.
You know, we somebody on Facebook said, well, you never talk about that. I'm like, I do privately, but I guess I should start saying it publicly. I mean, where do you think they learned it? Where do you think Hitler got his idea? Where do you think, you know, Israel got their idea?
Right.
You know, it's awful what we do to people, and we should be better than that. I know that should word is loaded.
Well,
we can be better than that. We just haven't yet.
Yeah.
How's that?
Well, it's the wrong people somehow are able to get in positions of influence and power, and somehow get people around them to say, I guess I'm on board with this too. While their agenda doesn't serve many people. Like to go back, the only satisfaction I'm taking is that when Trump does all the things he wants to do, and the Democrats are not going to stop him, even though Joe Biden right now, thanks to the Supreme Court and that immunity decision, tomorrow, first thing, end support to Gaza, then arrest Donald Trump. Okay. He could do that. Yeah. And the Supreme Court said, you're okay. Okay. That's not going to happen. We know that's not going to happen.
No.
So the idea is, how do you get people to understand, you know, how to change a system that's so broken?
Well,
that
come here and learn with us. You know,
they vote against their own best interests over and over and over. You know, no child care, health care. They always want to get rid of that pathetic thing known as Obamacare. Okay, and I know the both of you realize Obama, for about 2 months, maybe 3 months of his, he had rock solid supermajority. He could have passed national health care.
Right.
He could have jammed down the throats of the Republicans. Anything he wanted to.
Anything.
He did nothing with it.
He could have codified Roe v. Wade. I mean, he
could have done all these things. Right.
All of them.
Right.
That's I was watching Due Dissonance, and that was his commentary post-election, until people realized the damage that Obama did, they're never going to come around because they still think he was a good president.
No.
He was the worst.
He was deporter in chief. He bombed so many people. We ran out of bombs.
Because he had the supermajority. That's
his administration went after journalists constantly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Constantly.
Yep.
Just the
Yeah,
idea
I
that
remember
he had
that.
a supermajority and he did
I mean, they could
nothing.
have done it on a strictly Democratic vote. I think there was something about making it not completely official about Al Franken. Remember Al Franken? He got in trouble for making a rude joke and they kicked him out. And then, oh wait, we don't have enough people now.
Yeah.
All that stuff just seems so convenient to me.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he made a rude joke. He's a comedian.
Yeah.
You knew that when you hired him. He's going to be a little off color sometimes, you know.
Them pulling up the parliamentarian when this Democratic administration, when they were going to,
they got him out of the corner and dusted him off.
$15 minimum wage, and they can't. And Kamala couldn't do it because of a parliamentarian. I mean,
and
Vice President
Harris could have broken the tie. She did not.
Of course. And on top of that, in this election, red states passed minimum wage. They raised minimum wage in red states, and yet the Democrats could have done it nationally and didn't.
Right. That's common. The system is not broken.
So let's see what we can. Yeah, let's see what we can do in Illinois. That's what I want to know.
Yeah,
but the system is broken. Well, it's not really broken.
No,
it's doing what it is meant to do.
Yeah, what they said.
The whole design is what has to go.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
And love him or hate him, Jimmy Dore had a great saying when I used to really be down with Jimmy. Haven't watched him in quite some time, but he said it's not broken, it's fixed.
Yeah.
And I'm like that part.
All right.
Yeah. I haven't watched him in quite a while, and I've heard he's kind of went a little righty, but you know, he might come back. You never know.
Who doesn't?
People are entitled to their opinion. I mean, when you got bad choices all the time, you know. Obama, when he ran for president, promised change. After he got elected, all he changed was health care.
Yeah,
and
privatized
he didn't change it for the better, in my opinion.
Privatized it.
Yeah. He made. I mean, they make it so complicated. Just Medicare for all people.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you buy retail if you can buy wholesale?
Right. Because the
companies can tell you no, they can kick you out. They kicked out my father after breaking his hip because the insurance stopped paying.
Right.
And sent him home to live by himself, even though he couldn't get in and out of bed yet.
Yep.
Yep. Ron Placone left Jimmy because of that. Yeah.
The issue I really had with Jimmy Dore was just his kind of pathetic attacks on Jill Stein. They were because of somebody she knew. And that was such a weak argument. And I used to be a huge fan, but that.
Yeah, I did too.
That was.
Well, he was good enough to have us on when I was with the March for Medicare for All. He brought us on his show.
I mean, he does good work, but that, to me, again, if you're going to do all this cutting down when it's time to unify around a candidate, like I said, a lot of the other ones did, who were just as harsh as Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Revolutionary Blackout Network got behind Jill and Savvy Sabs, and so many did, and it was just like his goal to not, and it just seemed it was, you know. Yeah.
Well, and at some point, defining the problem is great, but now you need to start defining solutions and pick a horse and tell your people, like Savvy Sabs did. She's like, I'm for Jill.
Right.
I have no illusions that we're gonna take the White House. However, I can't vote for genocide, and I think people should be with me and at least get 5%.
Yeah.
And we also need to get poll watchers everywhere across the country for the next elections, because I don't trust that Jill didn't get more than, what are they saying, 600,000. That seems impossible.
Right.
Because she got over 1 million in 2016, and there was not a genocide, and she did not have the publicity.
She didn't have the Muslim community
and the running mate that she has that is so great.
Right.
Yeah. We got another comment here. Jimmy was fun mainly because he kind of dressed like Charlie Harper from Two and a Half Men. That's a good one. Two and a Half Men, sorry. Yeah.
The
And
people that
he's
have
working class,
people that
I
have
like him.
high profile, even in how many people really know who Jimmy Dore is? One
No,
out of
he's
one
pretty
out of 5,000 maybe.
big.
But the idea is always be a little edgy, be controversial. So they sell their soul for ratings. This is your mainstream mass media, all the way down to the lower precincts.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the YouTubers. I mean,
Yeah.
to get clicks, they'll do something controversial. Instead of just telling the truth and trying to make it fun and trying to be helpful.
I think I might have made this suggestion. I don't know if it's through this podcast or maybe even directly to other people I was talking to who I got calls from the Stein campaign. I think based on recognizing that I had donated money. And I'm just, kind of wondering, this money, where's the money is going to what? Advertising to get the message out, or
billboards. I know they did billboards.
What is okay? I'm supporting this woman. I want her to be president, and then trying to break through the barrier of the media. What was the highest profile interview she got from Piers Morgan?
Maybe Democracy Now! Was one.
That's right. Okay,
a lot of people follow that.
Probably Democracy. Then maybe Piers. And what I was thinking as time went on, after I started, putting money and other means to support, I said to myself, and this is going to sound really kind of ridiculous, but I think she needed to get controversial. She needed to say something. Seriously, so outrageous to get, whose attention. And then all that media attention goes to him. And I saw this. Did you see either of the two of you see this? I don't know. It popped up. Someone recorded it, popped up on TikTok or Facebook. Donald Trump, the next day or later in the day after he's the winner, talking about Jill Stein, goes, I like Jill Stein. I think she's pretty good. You see what I mean? Hey, Jill Stein. Now you got Trump talking about Jill Stein. How ironic is that?
Wow.
No, he's on. It's there, recorded. He's flipping about it. He's flipping. I like Jill. I think Jill's a pretty cool gal. That kind of stuff.
Well, she's an awesome person, I think. William Thomas said 400,000 votes, but Jill got on the presidential ballot. In 40 states, I think, 7 or 8 were write-ins, and a couple she didn't. And then Paris Hobbs, hi Paris, said hi a minute ago. Ohio votes didn't count because the Attorney General there decided they would not based on a technicality.
Yeah, that was
same thing going on in Carbondale.
Right, in Ohio, it was that they got a letter that the VP candidate of the time said was forged, saying that they were not going to run. That was before Jill had picked her actual VP. Because even in Illinois, we had a stand-in VP because it hadn't been chosen yet, which is allowed. But right in Ohio, they went with that and pulled her off the ballot. They were even so disgusting as to go around to polling places. This is the Ohio state government going around to polling places saying your Jill Stein vote will not count. They put up posters with that. So, I mean, the disgusting things that go on in a presidential election towards independent parties. I mean,
and yet
unbelievable.
Still think we live in a democracy.
Right.
People still think that. Come on, people, wake up.
Right.
Jay said marketing and advertising will have you singing commercials in your head, even voting against your interests.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's not in Jill's nature. She says what she means and she means what she says. Butch, I'm not sure. He might go controversial at some point. But I think we should go controversial in like a good way. Oh, Jill was interviewed on Al Jazeera I think I missed that one.
Oh, nice.
Ow. I'm gonna have to go look that up.
I
Yeah.
mean, certainly the Breakfast Club was a huge deal. No, within a certain demographic, but still, it was a massive publicized event.
Here, news flash.
Okay.
Trump picks Fox News host and an Army veteran to run what department, of course?
Department of Defense.
Yeah.
Which one?
Trump, who called prisoners of war losers.
Which person? Which person?
Which host?
Pete Hedges, or something like that. I've never heard of him.
Well, it's not Chris Hedges, but it's not.
I
Chris.
don't think they'd welcome Chris Hedges.
No, I don't think it'd be Chris. No, I never heard of that person. I don't know.
I
who
think
it
the
is.
only time Chris Hedges would be welcome is if a Green Party or
Chris
got
Hedges.
into the White House.
That there's someone, Chris Hedges. There was Howard Zinn. Now there's Chris Hedges.
Yep.
Speaking, incredible, insightful truths.
Yep.
Of the world, political and otherwise, that we live in.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So once again, you're going to get people appointed. This is where you got to watch idiocracy. You put some people in higher positions of power. And as George Carlin put it in one of his stand-up acts, talking about politicians, he goes, garbage in, garbage out.
Yep.
We
need people that have the interest of public in mind, that care about the American people, that will do a good job, can't be bought. And I know that's hard to find, but
that's all on my business card. Okay.
Yeah.
And the word's gotten me.
Yeah. I mean, I know there is a certain amount of, I have to do this because I have to feed my family. I understand that. But when you're at that level, it's just people bribing you to make more money so you can get a fancy car or whatever, It's legalized bribery.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure all of Trump's appointments up to that point, I didn't know about this one, but have been AIPAC folks. I mean, they've been just absolutely all, and it's because Adelson's the main donor to Trump. And so, Israel is dictating what's happening in these appointments without a doubt.
Well, and you guys were talking about the environment. That's definitely happening whether we like it or not.
Right.
And now they're not even going to help you. They're not going to send FEMA funds.
I was going to try and eliminate EPA.
They're not going to send the FEMA funds to help you after a natural disaster because they got to send it to Israel and more war.
Right.
So then if we have more war, I don't know if anybody read that Scott Ritter piece. If we go nuclear, it'll take 72 minutes and 60% of the human race will be gone.
Yeah.
72 minutes.
Just last night, to take my mind off of reality, on Netflix, I rewatched Dr. Strangelove.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Which is a raging, but very smart satire.
Oh, they did a
Cold War and Moscow versus Washington, and the inadvertent. Have you seen that movie, Strangelove?
Oh, yeah, they did a meme with
Colonel Ripper
bomb.
Deploys an entire strategic wing with atomic bombs. Colonel Ripper has gone nuts, and he's paranoid. He's talking about the communists are going to infiltrate our water systems and sap our bodies of precious fluids, and the dialogue is totally nuts. And in the end, you got Slim Pickens. You must remember him from some movie. Slim Pickens, had to manually get on top of the atomic bomb that they couldn't drop because they got partially hit by the Russians trying to take down the plane that's going to bomb Moscow and trigger the thermonuclear war. And he rides it down. Yahoo! Yeah. It's like the movie ends with a mushroom cloud.
Okay, well, we're hitting 2 hours. I'm going to get off here.
2 hours.
Wow, this is great. Extra guest, an extra hour. My co-host. This has been great. Scott, do you want to play us out with a little more of your fantastic music, if it's handy?
Sure.
So.
All right. And thanks.
Here we go. Thanks, everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Sure, we'll do it. I've seen Buzzy.
It's enough rising. It's enough rising. Rising up. Uprising.